Alrighty. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're in here for a good time, not a long time. Got our first test of this whole video review system. I've got our 13-minute video laid out, and hopefully we can stretch this out into a half hour. For those of you watching this later, once it's an upload, probably for about the first 10 to 15 minutes while people get in, we're going to be just chilling. So if you want to skip ahead, the time where we actually start the content and start the review is going to be about 15 minutes in, roughly. And this video, I assume, is probably going to be somewhere around 45 minutes long. So if you are watching as a video, please come back in 15 minutes or just speed it up 15 minutes. Alrighty. And I'll put the post out for people that we are in right now. There we go. I know there's a way to set up alerts for people, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to do it. Um, and as you can see, this is also going to be a little bit of a forethought thing. We're going to go ahead and take some look at some, or not take a look at, but just I'm going to take a few seconds to edit some stuff for the future video because we have right after this is the Necrons video, which I think is going to be pretty fun. It's pretty good stuff, to be honest, and I'm very, very excited. It's a lot of it's a lot of similar stuff to what we've done before. So in this case, it's around roughly 20,000 Necron warriors, roughly, just as like a ground force. Then around 250 constructs. I'm just going to put various. And then 2 light cruisers, 1 cruiser, and 1 cruiser, and 3 escorts. Pretty regular. And then on the other side, we have several different groups. And there's 10,000 Necrons on the world. So that's the defense force that we were talking about. And then moving on here. So for this, we have a really various force on the PDF side. We have roughly 100,000 local PDF troops. We have an elite PDF force of around 75 light vehicles, armed with paired heavy stubbers, and then the Mechanicus support group, which is around 1,000, or let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's say 2,000 Skitarii, and I would say no more than like 25 vehicles. Most of them are just going to be light vehicles. So yeah, there's our force breakdown. And we'll get back to this. This is transformative content, the first time we've actually kind of done this. So it's going to be a bit of a new thing for everyone. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to do it more in future. Hey, what's up? Hey, yeah. Yeah, they're lucky to have AdMech support. Here's the thing, though. They're only going to make up a very small portion of the actual plan. Actually, I should probably increase the number of PDF troops. No, because they have light vehicles and armed support, so I don't really have to worry about it. Why not? They do have actual civilized planets here, so I think 200,000 is it's not unreasonable whatsoever. And against 30,000 Necrons, they're kind of at a disadvantage anyway. So yeah, and of course, they have heavy stubbers. Heavy stubbers have never let anyone down. How you doing, bud? Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here for a live stream. I'm hoping for a couple more people, but I'm just giving it a nice 15-minute break so that people can trickle in, and then we'll get started with the review. Got a lot of stuff to do today, and getting my... Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, the PDF numbers are always supposed to be, like, 1% of the planet's population, but a civilized planet could have anywhere up to, like, 50 million. So, do I make it, like, 500,000 people? I don't think that's all that reasonable, especially for a smaller civilized world, which this definitely is if it's out where the Necrons have their world types. Yeah, it's better to have more of them just in the cases of, dealing with the Necrons individually. Yeah. Yeah, Astartes is one of the better versions to just show how quick and how much speed the Astartes actually have. And in my opinion, it's one of the few that actually shows a lot of weakness for the Astartes, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. There are some versions, like this one down here, this kind of Marines versus Cultist clip that comes from the GW version, or comes from the Space Marine game or whatever. God, I hate that. I literally, in that, I bet you, when I do a review of that video, which will probably be the next one because I hate it so much, I will literally take a 4-minute video and I will talk about it for well over an hour. Because almost every single scene in that episode I have a problem with. Or at least it upsets me to a degree where I want to air my grievances and talk about it. But this one is very different. I think that it's a very good representation of Marines. It's a very good indication of their limitations, and due to the chapter involved, I remember it's the excoriators or exterminators or something like that. They have it's not Ultramarines. It's not this mainline Marine content that we usually get. So I like it a lot. A couple more minutes. We'll let more people trickle in here. How have you liked the last few videos? It's been a lot. I know. I've been kind of pumping out one a day, no matter how I was feeling. I'm trying to keep myself to that schedule while I have a couple of days off. I'm kind of recovered a little bit. At least I feel good enough to do this stream and then another video afterward. I'm just keeping myself very hydrated because I'm not feeling exactly 100%, but I'm almost there. I think I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll feel perfect. And that's good because I have to go back to work tomorrow morning. So hopefully that'll be the case. And there's a lot of cool theory crafting with this one as well. I'm not really 100% on it. I couldn't really say that it's 100% this way or 100% that way. But I will go into a lot of the theory crafting that's been around it. And heck, while you're here, let's go on Lexicanum for a second because I want to pick some images. Who wants to pick out art? It's time to pick out art. Yeah. Get some stuff. This is basically just my entire process when I make these. It's just a lot of picking artwork. Well, it's not entirely just picking artwork, but it's a solid amount of just picking artwork for the episode. And, it's not exactly MS Paint stuff, but it's pretty fun. I like doing it. Good old Lord photo. I'm just trying to do this quickly, because I've had all day to do it, but I also, I had to bring my dog to the vet, and I had to go for, a walk, and I was out for, 3 hours, so it was a busy day, despite all of my intentions of getting work done. Hey, buddy, how you doing? We're sticking around and playing, or watching the Astartes episode, and also I'm making my video on stream, which... Is that unprofessional of me? Is it unprofessional to make my video on stream? I don't know. I think it's fun. I like doing presentations, and I like having you guys here. Maybe to watch me, maybe to skip ahead a few minutes and not watch me, because it is maybe a little bit embarrassing to do this, but not to me. I enjoy it. Monoliths. I love how many versions of the monolith there are. Fan prods. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's the thing. I was so surprised by the fact that everyone wanted Necrons, and I was scratching my head about it, and I was like, why are there so many Necron fans? I've made one Necron video. Did I just summon you motherfuckers out of the ether? But apparently not. Apparently somebody, I think I know who it is, but somebody went and got 87 or like 40 plus of their friends to go and vote for Space Marines on my next video. Because overnight, literally overnight, like in the middle of the night, it went from being a surefire thing that I was going to do another Necron video to being, okay, I guess I'm doing Space Marines now because they beat out Necrons when I already had the video complete. And I decided to do it anyway, but I was just so surprised because I was like, my regular polls get, 37 votes. On average, I get 37 or so votes. And that one had 89 votes, and I was like, what the fuck? And the fact that Space Marines won, that's weird. That's really weird. I think somebody's rigging our election system. I think somebody's messing with our elections. I cry election interference. It's not funny. It's kind of funny, a little bit. But oh goodness. See, what are these guys? Are these like Scorpec destroyers? Is that what they are? Because I see him and I like him because he looks really cool. Yet at the same time, I can't find a model for him. And if he has a model, I don't know what it is. Is it a Scorpec destroyer or a Scorpec lord? I don't know. I do not know. Let's get some nice reversed art here. See, I have a thing against using the same art more than once. Yet, at the same time, the Necrons do not have a lot of art, unfortunately. So it's not like I can be picky. I kind of have to pick whatever is available. I can't really be choosy, which is sad. I wish I could be. With the Marines, I get to be choosy, and with Chaos, out of self-respect, I'm choosy. Like, I very, very specifically pick specific images that I know I want to talk about. But with the Necrons, and with the Eldar, and the Tyranids, I am not spoiled for choice. I get fucked for choice, actually. What's a good picture of an Immortal? Oh, Destroyer. I need a Destroyer to go on the Heavy Vehicles page. Yay. And the thing is, like, once I get this done, it's basically just going right up, and then I'm starting this video anyway, so people aren't really going to get a precursor of that video through this, which is nice, because it means that watching this won't ruin the video for you guys. God. This is such a cool image, I almost used it twice. Nope, can't do that. If I use the same image twice, that makes me, I don't know, lazy. Lazy's probably the right word, to be honest. Alright, where did the Lich Guard go? There we go. I like Lich Guard, because I like heavy infantry in general. However, the fact that they basically only have a sword is really dumb. They should 100% have something better than a sword. In my opinion. Ah, there we go. There's a good Necron Immortal. He's got his double-barreled Gauss flare. See, I love these ones, these kind of old-ass rusty boys, because they have, like, super weird weaponry. I like that they've become more uniform over time, in terms of, like, their weapons and equipment. But, I mean, I just like the old stuff, man. I really do. Alright. I don't think we're gonna find... Oh, there's the hex mark. Yes. Hex mark. Hex marks the spot, baby. Ba-dow. It's a Scorpec Lord? Huh. So he must be an old model then. Or maybe just not very popular. Is a Scorpec Lord? See, but what the fuck is a Scorpec? Like, that was my question. I was like, okay, so there's a Scorpec Lord. What the fuck is a Scorpec? Is that like a specific unit that he's a lord of? No, apparently not. And apparently nothing. Apparently there's no lore to him. Alright, where was the Tomb Construct? I saw one like a second ago. There we go. Tomb Construct. Spider. Spider. Love a good spider. And then there was one more I wanted, the kind of walker Tomb Construct. Not that. Not this one. I think this one's dumb. The tripod walkers, they're literally just picked because they look like the walkers from War of the Worlds. And as much as, like, I understand that, and being like, oh, War of the Worlds, of course, we want to tie into that, you know, existential Lovecraftian horror shit, I think that the Necrons having a vehicle like that's a little bit silly. Especially because it also reanimates them. It's like they already are able to do that via the Bluetooth in their frickin' uh, soul. Soul Bluetooth. Yeah. So, yeah, see, why do they have legs? Why would they need legs? Bro, you have anti-grav technology. How are legs an improvement? How how are legs an improvement? You're literally that's worse. You're going backwards in technology. Where they are evolving just backwards. They're evolving just backwards. That's hilarious. So they actually are just it just has feet because feet. Oh god, that's funny. All right. That'll go there. I don't really have a good image for that. I need wraiths. 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 Infinite and divine. Crotchety old geezer side over the soulless terminator. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. I was like, oh, the ones who have a soul and have like emotions, they're kind of cool. And yeah, they are. They are pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Scarabs are cringe. I don't need a picture of scarabs. We all know what scarabs look like, right? Stomp someone with anti-grav, you need legs to stomp. That's oh god, that's actually a really reasonable point. I don't really have anything to say to that. That's kind of true. I can't squish somebody with I can't squish someone with anti-grav. That is real, 100% real. Just spitting straight facts over here. Oh, that's funny as hell, man. That's very good. All right, hold up. What else am I looking for? I need Deathmark. Deathmarks. Do. Lobotomy gun. Literal lobotomy gun. Hurrah. Paste. All right. You will need to be smaller. Okay. And larger, because this thing doesn't have legs. I don't know how that thing gets around without legs. Flayed ones. See, I don't know why they're called flayed ones if it's them doing the flaying and not the other way around. But I guess it works. That's a pretty creepy image. Well, let's not use that. Let's use... No, I used this in the other video. Come on, tell me there's not a single better... No, that's a flayed one lord. Which are cool. I'd like to add that the flayed one lords, the fact that they even have lords who are flayed ones, is really cool. However, it's not what I was looking for. There we go. That'll work. That'll do. That'll do. That can go right there. Let's see what this says. All this old black and white like 80s art is messing with me. Because I'm expecting more stuff. Let's put the scarabs in there. Let's put the scarabs in there. Hide a very small JPEG of a scarab somewhere on one slide. You're right. I should. Don't tell anyone that I did that. What is that thing? Don't tell anyone you did that shit, though. They'll make fun of you. Alright, you go to back. So, where do we put it, boys? Where do I put this secret scarab? Let's put it right here. Tiny little baby scarab. We need a picture of a baby scarab. There we go. Tiny little scarab right here. We'll just put it very, very small. Very, very small. Right there. There we go. And that'll be a little Easter egg for people who watch both. Alright, it is 7:05. I've given enough time for people to get in. We're probably going to go through the whole process 2 times. So let me full screen this. Nope. Let me... How do I make the screen larger without... Theater mode? Theater mode. There we go. That'll do it. Alright. So, I need you guys to tell me how the audio is. Because for me, it's probably going to be a lot louder than it is for you. Oh, yeah. They do. Oh, whoa, that's loud. Alright. So, first off, good image of a ship. Big fan of that. Let me know how the audio is for you guys. It's good? It's loud? How loud? Too loud? Let me know if it's too loud. Alright. So, pausing. We're going to do this scene by scene, and then I'm going to go through it afterward. So, first off, okay, it's louder than my voice. That is helpful. Let me drop this down and try it then. Let me know how it is now. Is that better? Can you hear me over it? Let me know if that is better so that you can see if you can hear me over it. That's good, but I'm also going to be pausing intermittently. Bit quieter. You're louder now. Okay. So, that's better. Thank you for the audio assistance. Let's go through it slow here. So, Argosa uprisings have been checked. Retributor Astartes now assist the hunt for fleeing leaders of the rebellion. So, uprising, rebellion, we'll see what that's about. But we're talking year 482, Millennium 39. We're getting very close to the good part of Millennium 41, or we've just passed it. This is when the Sabbat Worlds Crusade is going on. So, we'll talk about the kind of tie-in that might have in a bit. But Retributors are our boys. They're trekking down. So, here's our first image of a ship here. This is clearly an escort class vessel by any definition of the term. But we can actually see from the number of torpedoes and the types of torpedoes what this actually is. Now, I would say that this has been modified a little bit, but you can see 2 torpedo tubes on this side and 2 on the other side. That only gives us a couple of options for what this might be escort-wise. So, let me get my Imperial ships list out, and I will... My Imperial ships list for 40k, please. I don't want the Star Wars one. Yeah, Navy vessels list. Go down to escorts. So, my original for this was that it was a Cobra destroyer, and I still hold by that. Yes, so that was the other thing. Yeah, this is 100% a Cobra class destroyer. So this weird thing about these are actually pretty solid as naval vessels, but the really big thing with the Cobra class is it doesn't have any broadside weapons, and you might be immediately pointing out, well, what about these? Aren't these broadside weapons? Aren't these macro cannons? Not necessarily. What I actually think you have here is modifications to the flak weapon system, because this is probably a flex weapon. And if I remember right, Raptor, when we made the stats for the Cobra, it was 1 flex, 4 torpedo tubes, and no side weapons, or did we add side weapons because it was a destroyer? We can actually look that up. I will go find it. We're looking for CC ships. CC Imperial ships. There we go. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and check out the Cobra class destroyer. So, getting past merchantmen. I have all of these things statted out, so if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, yeah. So, we have it with 4 torpedo tubes, 1 flex mounting, which this big gun here, that's the size that you'd be looking at for a macro cannon. These are not really all that good as macro cannons. These are more close-range defense weapons and flak weapons than this, which is a real anti-ship flexible cannon. So, pretty significant. You can see here the frontal nose of this thing. Yeah, point defense weapon. Yeah, exactly. The big thing about the Cobra is it is a really good escort because it has so many torpedo tubes. It's got a ton of firepower, but it's really not all that durable. You can actually see how thin and slender this ship is in comparison to its fellows. But I just wanted to point out, this is a really nice flex weapon, and you can see the size difference in its cannon versus the side ones here, and these point defense weapons here. So these are kind of like flak weapons that they have up here. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about Imperial flak and about Imperial ship weapons. More so than we already have. We already talked about it to a degree, but this is just going deeper into it. So, they're going through an asteroid field. They don't look to be powered up right now. Alright. I know, I said I'd be pausing every couple of scenes, and I was talking about it. It didn't look like that Cobra was moving all that fast. There is actually a pretty decent reason for that. Ships have a lot of maintenance related to their engines, and also they give off auspex when they start moving and they start producing heat. Obviously, you can detect things like metal in the void, but if you're not moving, it makes it a lot harder, and especially if the ship is cold, aka running on low power, which you'll notice this ship might actually be. If a ship isn't moving, it's actually kind of indicative that they might be trying to hide from something. And if you'll look straight forward, you'll see what the fuck they're hiding from. So these are our Retributors. They're in their gray and light gray and dark gray armor with their skull icons. And here's one of my favorite things about this video. It shows you a size comparison between the average Imperial, specifically the average worker, and the Marine passing by each other. This is easily like a 10-foot ceiling, and this hallway has to be at least like 9 feet or 8 feet wide. Now, could the Marine lay down in here? I don't think so. Maybe it's 6 or 7 feet. Yeah, case in point, the Alpha Legion sneaking onto Pluto during the Horus Heresy. Also, case in point, the Charismites sneaking out of the Imperial Cordon during Operation Red Drake. So, we got our boys here. I'm not sure what armor mark they're in. It looks to be 8 or 7. Probably 7. Yeah, it's 7. You can tell. There's no throat brace. They're in relatively modern armor. I think it's 7. We got our gentleman here. You can see that he's seen this ship on Auspex, but you can also tell that it isn't giving off a huge ping. It's got all these other asteroids here, and it's clearly trying to hide. This gentleman here, who looks like maybe a lieutenant or a sergeant from his icons. I'm not very good with Imperial Marine iconography, but I'm pretty sure he's an LT or a sergeant, especially because he's, reading tactical displays rather than anything else. Focusing down on it. See, they're barely fitting by here with the humans walking past them. Our boys are fitted up, ready for combat. Something interesting here, I'm like, where are their weapons? I think they actually have them mag-locked to their rear lower back, which is a thing that you can theoretically do. Again, the Marines have 3 large magnetic areas on their armor. The hips, waist, and lower back are the big ones. And stuff that's really large, like melt-a-bombs, that's going to be hooked to the lower back, whereas things like weapons are going to be hooked to the thigh. Alright, so, close-up of a bolter, he's blessing it with sacred smoke, incense. I'm a big fan of this, because, again, look at this little icon here. He's got not just the Imperial Eagle, but he's got the Inquisitorial Eye. Now, I question that. Why has he got an Inquisitorial Eye? You'll see later, but I think that one of the reasons might be because it was blessed or provided by the Inquisition. It's an indicator to show that it's not always the ecclesiarchy that provides religious support to these guys. Another thing here, it's got the little beeps and boops, the little lights on the bolter, that are indicating like what level of repair it's in or support or whatever it's doing. And I kind of like that a lot, the whole idea of like the bolter has some sort of integrated electronics with it. That also goes into the suit and everything, but look at the pleating on the hands and on the knuckles and stuff. This is really cool to me because you can actually see where all the joints hook up to the fingers, and you can see how hard it would be to like flex outward with fingers in this kind of armor, and it's contoured very heavily. You don't often see this with Marine armor. Sometimes it's just a big old fat slab, but I love with nice animation that they go into that detail. Another thing, grab bars up there for the Marines, making sure that they both don't hit their head, and that they have something to grab onto in case this. Boom, 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 boom. They step on this big old reinforced steel step. If that fell or cracked, they'd want some support. Straight magazine bolters, no curved magazine, don't see loyalists with the straight box often. Love the little, yeah. So, Yes. So that's why I'm going out, because I'm like, okay, on a limb, why the hell did they have that? I love this because it's the idea that like if it collapsed or broke underneath the Marines' weight, they have a little grab bar to keep them from like falling forward, which I find just kind of funny. But the thing is, a lot of these things are going to be reinforced because Astartes are heavy as fuck. All right, we're inside the boarding torpedo now. God damn, what an animation, guys, for real. All right, hold up. Yeah, good impression of the Marines' weight. Exactly, like that's a solid steel reinforced step, and it's just so that they don't fall straight through it. I have a complaint here, and Raptor, back me up. This is way too far away to be firing boarding torpedoes. Not to mention firing it through an asteroid field. This seems like a bit of a tactical oversight to me, especially for a destroyer with a lot of anti-aircraft. It seems dangerous to fire boarding torpedoes at an active ship this close. Now, I think I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to have the cover of the asteroid for the first initial movement of their attack, so that the ship doesn't awaken and, have a higher chance to hit them with anti-aircraft. But at the same time, it's a calculated risk. If the ship is awake and they are paying attention, there's a lot of time to shoot down these boarding torpedoes as they come in. But as is, they're not exactly on high alert, and this is the result. Oh, another thing there, when they launch, you notice that they aren't shooting out of the ship. They are launching via gravity initially, and then they're turning on their boosters, essentially, which is another indication that they're trying to get the drop on them. They haven't started firing yet. Their orbital weapons have way far and away enough range to hit them. But look, he's getting guided in by an aircraft. I believe that's a Lightning. And these two little Auspex pods. I'll just... Oh, shoot. See, I'll go back if you, want to talk about something. But, see, look, go through the main penetrating section of the asteroid field with these two little Auspex things. I assume that these are for, essentially... Well, they're obviously sacrificial for protection, but also they would probably help guide the torpedo, because the torpedoes aren't really meant to be steered so much as they are meant to, lock onto a target or lock onto a trajectory. So maybe it's to assist with that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, Auspex pod. Yeah, that was the exact thing. When I saw them, I'm like, that's not really a thing. We don't really have sacrificial. Because when I saw them, my immediate reaction was, oh, they're meant to take hits from asteroids or from anti-aircraft, and that's what they end up actually doing. But I was like, that's not really a thing that we have, unless we're talking about cheap sacrificial aircraft, which these clearly aren't. So I think it makes more sense for them to be something like maneuvering thrusters, like a chariot or like a pod racer from Star Wars, where they kind of pull or push in a direction. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, that's my point. I was like, I've never heard of a kamikaze drone that takes anti-aircraft fire for point defense. I would understand if it was an aircraft guiding them, and clearly one is. So are these guiding them, or are they taking AA? I'm not sure. It might be something very specific. More of a ship than an actual torpedo. Yeah, yeah. So they are rocket and payload. I'm not saying that they can't maneuver. I'm saying that there's no driver's hatch or easy to control direct controls, because we've seen what the torpedoes look like. It's basically a big ass drill. It's not something that's very how do I say aerodynamic, but in space. It isn't very easy to control, especially because it's going at such a high speed. So I'm not sure that I would call it more of a ship, because it is a legit torpedo. If you want to look at a reference for what I'm talking about, my best one would be the opening cinematic in Space Hulk Deathwing, because that gives you a really good indication that these are torpedoes. There are definitely actual boarding ships that the Astartes have, but these are not one of them. These are clearly boarding torpedoes. So, might be something different there, might be a specific thing that they have, might be something unique to the chapter, or my theory is that they're actually being supplied by the Inquisition, which would make sense why they have all these things that we don't normally see them have. So that's my theory, is that they're actually being sponsored by the Inquisition for whatever reason. And you can see here, he's got a multi-laser, or possibly just a las weapon of some kind, that is coming up and popping these individual pieces. And here. So, this is not that Cobra from before. This is a different ship, and I would actually argue that this is probably a pretty unique ship. Might be completely unique, might be relatively unique, but it is now on the move. And that's probably what they've been stalking. So, again, we can see an anti-aircraft round from here, one from the back quarter, one from the front quarter. Alright, pause. We've got two engines back here, one anti-aircraft system up here, one anti-aircraft system back here. Yeah, so that was what I was getting towards. I think this is a modified heavy freighter. I think this may even be a very, very heavy version of a Tarask merchantman, and here's my reasoning why. The Tarask merchantman is noted for being relatively simple, incredibly cheap, and highly modifiable to the point where not every Tarask looks the same. I do also have a personal love for the Tarask merchantman, but I say Tarask merchantman because of this central spire and this rear kind of storage area, and the fact that it is so thin. So these would be stored. Oh no. Okay. Are we good? Something died in my recording. Whoops. Alright. Are we still good? Did the stream crap out? Oh no, I hope the stream didn't crap out. No? No, we're in good connection. Says we're good. Are we all good? Network thing there or something? Yeah. I think for a second. Is it running okay? Oh, did you head out? You gotta go? Alright, bud. So, I think this is a Tarask because you can see the anti-aircraft. So let's jump right in. So, you can see AMC 009. Yeah, okay, it's good now. So, AMC 009. And you can see something else here, V. Now, I don't know if this is an indication of this ship's allegiance, if it's a name, but that is very much a freighter designation. AMC, a string of words or an acronym, and then 009, indicating the ninth of its batch or the ninth of its version. And the other thing, gray. Look at all this gray. It's very civilian. You would normally see, even with like standard warships, on the central area, you'd be looking at something much more related to gold or gaudy artwork or anything put up there. Another thing, obviously, our box here, our torpedo, has reached the optimal impact range, and like the regular boarding torpedo, it has something that shoots out in front of it and weakens the superstructure armor. Yeah, big laser drill time. And what I want to note here is that same anti-aircraft weapon that was up at the front has now fixed itself in place and is continuing to fire, weakening the metal, and then impact. This is an immediate structural damage. So there's an initial penetration, and then you'll see that it continues to twist and grind away, going through at least 3 or 4 different decks in a second, smashing into an empty open area, and now, here's something that I want to highlight. And pause. See, I've been watching this video so much because I like to do that because I'm brain dead. But look at the damage from this. It has penetrated all the way inside, spilled out. Over here you can actually see the nose cone that has kind of popped off. Again, if you've seen Space Hulk Deathwing, the interior of the ship after it's been penetrated, you'll see the nose cone. But it is like a big old drill, like a rock grinder drill. And then in here is our capsule of Angry Astartes and our very unfortunate naval armsman. If you saw there, he has a diamond-shaped symbol on his pauldron. All this smoke is mostly for dramatic effect. Look at our boy. Look at our boy. Hold up. Oh, crap. I want to catch him. Ah! He's got like a Vrax Mark II. I want to catch him. There we go. Ooh. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this autogun. Look at this autogun. Yes, the diamond on the helmet. It's cool as hell. So these are clearly organized military. So what my point is here is these are not naval armsmen. There's no fucking way these are naval armsmen. Look how well armed and armored he is. He's got straight up flak armor. Like, not even beating around the bush. He's got flak armor on. And he's got a helmet. Granted, look at his helmet for a second. It's steel. Clearly steel. Because he's got steel like little planchettes here. He's got a steel visor that's clearly been welded poorly onto a steel frame because you can see rivet, 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 rivet going down the back and side of his head. So this is not guard standard. That's something that I want to note. This is not a guard uniform, and that's not guard flak. The base for it might be guard flak, but I think this is a flak equivalent steel uniform made to look like that armor. And yes, it is sexy as hell. And then he's got an actually pretty nice autogun. And, ba-dam, he's got a gas mask, face mask, and a Vox bead. So you can see he's got an earpiece here. Interesting thing, pretty expensive. Here's the thing, I don't think he's a cultist. I don't think he's a cultist. He might be, but it said separatists. Or at least it said rebellion. I think he might be an independent, similar to the Severan Dominant. Yeah, so that's the thing. He's better equipped than local military. That's the thing. He's either really well equipped PDF or he's a separate kind of. So what happens after rebellion that they'll often do is they will re-equip the PDF with better weapons and equipment that they either steal or that they manufacture themselves. I think that this gentleman is equipped with weaponry stolen from the PDF or the local world, modified for their new military. Because they don't have to keep the PDF system once they've rebelled, right? All right. So we see what the Astartes sees. And look at this night vision. So this isn't night vision. This is heat sensitivity, heat sensing. Now, again, I'm not saying he isn't a cultist because, of course, all separation from the Imperium eventually results in the fomentation of chaos rebellions. That's just how it works. That's always how it works. But these guys seem to have some Xenos affiliation, and they might be up in rebellion on their own because they have some sort of dark and shadowy overlord, which is why they're equipped more like a local military, more uniformly than like a PDF or some sort of local militia. So they're better equipped, but they've also been in rebellion for a bit, so they might have had a chance to enrich themselves. Look at the heat seeking. He's got 1, 2, possibly a third target here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 targets, maybe an 18th over here. Now, what I want to note about this that's interesting, what do you see about these groups? We have a group of 3, a group of 3, a group of 2, possibly a third over here, group of 3, and then group of 3 coming in over here. That's squad cohesion. It's indicative of squad tactics and squad cohesion. It's notable that these guys might be actual squads. And that indicates that they have some level of skill and veterancy. Yeah. They're all fire teams and cover. Oh, good God, the bolter porn. Oh, good God. Let's hear it again. All right. That's nice. That's cool shit. So, we've got our firing solutions here. We got them from the hip. Again, Marines barely need to aim. But at this distance, they're less than 100 meters. They're basically pinpoint accurate. They've got the straight magazines, but they're also using much longer magazines than normal, you'll notice. So I think these are just the sickle type, but they've been straightened out. We've got a ensign here, the same squad sergeant marking on his helmet here. He's got his knife out in his other hand, I think. Yes, and then here's our gentleman who we follow for a little bit, because he's got a plasma pistol, and just look. Bolt pistol, plasma pistol, and I believe combat dagger. Alright. So, firing up. My question, why taking out the ones on the balcony first? And I think the best answer is just because there's a lot more weak spots on the upper side of the Marine. Say if you're at a higher angle, you have a higher chance of hitting their face or hitting their throat than you would if you were at a straight angle. If you're at a straight angle, you're going to aim center of mass. Center of mass from up high, you have a chance of hitting them in the throat or face, which is more lethal, so that's why you'd aim for them first. Oh, good lord. What a good pair of hits. What a good pair of hits. And I also want to say something else about that. Yeah, conserving the plasma ammo. I want to mention something about this. I noticed that the Marines are firing into the dark and not hitting every shot. That's something that I want to highlight. They are missing. There's always people who are talking about, like, look, they're just nailing one with every shot. They're clearly not. They're clearly missing a couple of rounds. And you can see our two buddies here. This guy has possibly a high-caliber rifle, possibly a shotgun, maybe one of their little snub-nosed autoguns. But look at the armor. Full-backed armor. This is definitely like tier 2 for Corrupt Contender stats. It's like thin 15 to 20 millimeter plates, helmet, all that good stuff. He's got shin protection, but no thigh protection. So this is clearly light flak equivalent rather than carapace. And then we've got a buddy taking cover here. Oh, good lord. So you can see 1, 2, 3 shots. First one blows through gentleman's shoulder, doesn't even bother to detonate, just cavitates an apple-sized hole through his torso and shoulder, and this gentleman practically gets blown in fucking half because a shell explodes at his lower abdomen. and just down instantly. So here we get another good image over the... yes, some fine stamped sheet metal. Speaking of stamped sheet metal, by the way, one, again, notice his helmet. Two, notice the autogun. Yes! Now, this looks like the back buffer tube of an F-16. Of an M16 attached to what really looks like a 30 caliber... basically like a 30 caliber submachine gun that's been given a large barrel shroud. So what this looks like to me is a very cut down kind of grease gun or M3 Sten or grease gun submachine gun that has been built up to look like a rifle. So this definitely looks like local production to me, especially with, you can see the crudeness of the uprights and the sights. You can see how flat and riveted it is. You can see it's clearly made of stamped sheet metal. Yeah, very interesting sight on it, aka there's no front sight, unless it's like a very small front sight. Yeah, a stub rifle. See, I think it's an auto rifle because there's, it might be semi-auto, but yeah, well, see, it is quite wide, but I think the interesting thing here is also that the front muzzle device, this kind of barrel, is like a barrel shroud. It's also quite wide. Headshot, Jesus Christ. Oh my lord. And that's the other thing. These are definitely auto weapons. They just emptied on full auto. Just. See, those guys, that guy might have a slightly longer rifle. Wait. Look at that. Yeah, that's definitely not the same. No, it is the same rifle because you can see the stock. Yeah, it's definitely like a 30 caliber, either a medium caliber auto gun, or they might have different types of guns. Yeah, and he's firing bursts, and they clearly have at least like 30 or maybe 40 round clips, because look, just count for a second how many rounds he lets off. That sounded like 20 rounds to me in a burst. That sounded like 20 rounds in a solid burst, just letting it off at probably at like minimum range with the Marines based on how that guy fucking folded. Yeah, those last two were just dumping the mag. That's honestly what they all should have been doing, to be honest. With the Marines, if you gotta fall back and reload, that's probably a good idea to, you know, save your life. But honestly, I am a human who would have a hard time with trigger control, if that were the case. This dude just emptying out the other things. So this is the interesting thing about a lot of Imperial ships. They very rarely have dead ends. So you won't have one hallway or one room, especially on the exterior, that only goes to one area. And you can see that one of these gentlemen is staying back to hold the corners of the room, essentially preventing anyone from coming in from the left and right. There's not much point to counting rounds versus a Marine. I would agree. I would like to use all of my ammunition at the same exact time if it were possible. But while they're doing that, while they're holding on to their exfil point, theoretically, they're continuing on with at least 4 brothers. Let's keep going, because I realize I've already spent a half hour on the first minute and a half. Alright. Good video. Or good portion of the video. Let's keep this going. Ready? Alright. So, a couple things I want to note. Just letting it go. Okay. First one is this guy. Keep a note on this gentleman. Look at his eyes. He's got some spiderweb architecture pays to have a rear guard. Correct. So, look at his eyes. This is clearly a lit up visor of some kind. Can I hit space? Yes, I can. Okay. Yeah, I think it's night vision. I legit think that this dude has some nice night vision, and you can clearly see he's got that same ported barrel on his rifle. So let's stop again. You can see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 who passed us, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, passing these two who we'll see later are automata psychers. But again, gas mask, night vision, rifle. And then over here, you can see those more basic guys who have the standard rifles, no night vision, and almost, it looks like possibly no gas masks as well. So I think that some of them are more elite, or some of them are armsmen on the ship, and then some of them are standard military. These guys are clearly standard military. And not being treated too gently. But again, here's another guy, night vision. And then another guy, barefaced, rifle down. Again, same thing up here. That dude had a, either a power maul, not a power maul, he had like a shock goad that he just hit somebody with. Alright, here's our first look at our semi-mechanical, possibly Xenos boys here. Hey guys, take a look at why the Inquisition is here. It's definitely these assholes. So, there were theories about these being Uvoth, or Uvoth tech of some kind. They came from various places. I don't know how I feel about it, but I am willing to say these gentlemen are semi-mechanical and they're psychically capable. Yeah, the gold mask dude using electro whips. Yep, similar in height to the Marines. I think that they could be Uvath constructs, they could be any number of things. But here's the thing. If you look close at his eyes, you can actually see flesh around them. So it's clearly a mask for something that is alive. So they're clearly protecting something in this big old vault down here. God, I love the Fallout style, like, plugs on this thing. Alright, let's keep going. The next one is chock full of shit I need to talk about. We jogging along. So, this is the run that when I talk about Marines being able to run and fight, this is what I'm talking about. This is a jog. This is not an outright run. This is not 60 miles per hour. This is just a jog. And I also love the little glowy 1980s holographic outlays on the bolters. Alright. He banged in a door with the tip of his bolter and just fucking muzzle stamps it and shoots into it. Solid room clearing technique. We got rounds coming past. I like this. So, there's often the indication that Marines' eye lenses glow very brightly. It's not always the case, but you can see here that in the muzzle flash from the bolter going off, he basically has like a black visor. So, while it does show in like pitch darkness, it's not glowing like headlights. Though that may also be something you're allowed to modify. Also, holy shit, we've got a gun line here. You remember every single time that I talk about making, ooh, what was that? Ah, I see one of our enterprising cultists has managed to find himself a lasgun. Oh boy, somebody's been stealing from somebody who had some money. Not a very good shot for the lasgun, he's hitting him in the shoulder, but you can also see that the Marine is keeping his shoulder forward when he fires his bolt gun. He's not square to his enemy, he's keeping his pauldron up over his throat, and he's using it to cover his chest. Smart. Smart Marine. So yeah, lasgun. Again, indication that they've done some time in the military and they fought the Imperial Guard, because that motherfucker has a lasgun. Alright, here's our gun line. Here's our gun line. Here's what we got. We've got this gentleman over here. He might be the gentleman with the lasgun. We'll see in a second. And then we have a, what I would call a medium machine gun here, for sure. Maybe it's a light stubber, especially because of how short the barrel is. And because of the fact that they're shrugging it off so easily, it might be using the same caliber as their autoguns. So this might be a light or medium stubber. It's difficult to tell without seeing how fast it fires. And then over here you can see... Okay, hold up, hold up. Let's see that again, please. Okay, so, lasgun number 1, lasgun number 2. Night vision. What does night vision boy have? Frickin' rocket launcher. So, again, night vision boys with the icon on their shoulder, this is clearly one of the elite. This is going to be more of those professional army of the separatists as opposed to our more standard naval armsmen here. Again, you notice the difference in the helmets, in the armor, in the armament is the big one. We've got las guns here. Crazy stuff. Yeah. So, the reason I don't think that this is heavy is because of the recoil. So you can see it's basically not throwing him back whatsoever. And the other thing is you could have a slower machine gun and that would just be a light machine gun. So again, it's a good idea. It might be heavy, but I think this one's a little bit lighter, especially because the Marines are just standing there and taking it, not really giving much of a shit. Oh crap. I'll go back just 1 second. Okay. So again, that is a pretty significant amount of flash. So it might be here's what it might be. It might be a high caliber round stuck into a weapon whose barrel is too short. So it might be a heavy stubber round out of a shorter stubber barrel. because otherwise that would not have that massive of a flash, even with what looks like a tracer round. So again, we can see this kind of breakdown, who has what, and then basically there is some return fire. It do be coming. Hits guy on the right, guy on the left. Oh yeah, so big ammo box doesn't necessarily mean big round. And it also might be that this is a medium stubber because it's fitted with an ammunition cache instead of a regular light belt or something like that. So we'd have to look at the length and width of the rounds inside of that box magazine, because 303 will also fit a whole bunch of other calibers. So yeah, could be anything. The other thing is, because calibers in 40K are so weird, it could theoretically be something like a 12.7, but it's in a very short cartridge, or a fat cartridge like a 45. So something like that. So we've got heavy stubber guy gets taken out first, guy on the right gets taken out right after him, and then boom, another shot here. And then we can see this gentleman, our more elite guy here with the rocket launcher, who has night vision as well. And we'll take a look at the heavy stubber in a second. Yes, brave rocket boy. Yeah, turned into miss by multiple. Probably turned into miss by like a single impact that actually detonated on their body armor. So, lights up the whole place. You can see nobody else except maybe this guy to the side is alive. That's going pretty fast. And then a return shot basically turns him into mist. And what I find interesting about this is that it kind of curves and curls. And he sees it coming. Passes right by him. That was probably a crack round. Might have been a high explosive. Either way, misses. Detonates behind them. One of the things I'd like to mention about that, about the idea of Marines dodging, that was probably going at a relatively slow speed, which indicates that it would probably be a relatively slow round. This is either the same hallway or a different one. Okay. Here comes my favorite scene, second favorite scene in this entire animation. We've got what looks like a 20mm something autocannon. Yeah, so that actually makes a lot of sense. If it was like a wire guide or like a lock-on that he didn't actually do, that might be the reason. But here, we have what looks to me like maybe a 20 or a 25mm autocannon. And this is a bulky motherfucker. You can see this triple heat louvres. You can see the Hotchkiss style recoil scrubber and heat scrubber. You can see the Barrett 50 cal muzzle brake. Oh my lord. And you can see, I originally thought this dude was Mechanicus. No, look at him. He's got the eye things. He's got the night vision. So this is clearly one of those elite cultists, and this huge cachet of rounds is very much like the French, like the Hotchkiss machine guns, or like the American, like Bofors 37mm rounds, were stored in a similar cassette to this. And you can see he pulls back, cracks it into place, gets his first 25mm or 23mm round in. And he's... Look at this sneaky motherfucker. And here's the interesting thing that I love. He's not alone. He's got a spotter. Look at this little dude down here. We've got a second guy here. Oddly enough, I don't think that this guy is a reloader. Initially, my thought was, oh, he's reloading the gun. He's not on the correct side to be reloading the gun. If he was a loader, he would be on the other side, because the cassette is to the gunner's right. So I think he actually has a second weapon down here, probably a standard infantry weapon, or he's there to help him move it when they want to move it. But either way, gunner here, you can see the leaf sight out in front of his face, and you have our Marines going by here by the louvres, which are roughly at head height to them. They're running by, they're running by. One of the things that I like about this is it doesn't give them wall hacks with the heat vision. They're clearly back a couple of feet from the wall. They're in an area that's louvered and relatively well aerated. They're running by. They don't notice them at all until... Look at this setup. Look at the boys. Look at the boys. And this is a huge autocannon, too. This thing is massive. Single monopod. Second 2 tripod bits. Bang. 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 So, look at that hole. So, he's clearly firing something AP, because if it wasn't AP, it would have exploded after that. But the first shot hits this dude right in the head. Second shot goes between the two of them. This guy sees, oh fuck, things coming out of the wall, hits him right in the shoulder or possibly the side of the chest. Fourth one goes right past and right through. Fifth one rips through low. Don't know where that one went. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So the fire flash of the weapon reveals that one of the Astartes has crawled into the ductwork and has found their firing position. You can also see here that the cassette is emptying itself. It looks to me like they fire about 6 or 7 rounds. And you can see he's bracing it against his shoulder and arm. There's part of the thing here. Well, Jimmy, that wasn't part of the plan. I would agree. But you can see just the heavy recoil of this thing, and it goes dark. And this is my favorite part. You can see he grabs the thing. Yeah, he puts his bolter up to the side of this dude's head, basically, and blows him away. Yeah, points for effort. No, see, here's the thing. I think this probably holds around like 18 to 20 rounds of ammo, but it might hold a little bit more than that because the cassette also goes down into like a sidelong thing. Has to be quieter than the autocannon. Well, yeah, he does just have to be quieter than the autocannon. So, you guys see, he just puts it up to the side of his head. And remember, there was a dude next to our gunman, remember? Where do you think he is right now? I'll tell you where he is. He's a puddle around that Astartes' boot. He basically just stepped on his head to kill him instantly and quietly. 1, 2. Sit down, motherfucker. Okay. Here's the big... Oh, God, I love this scene in so many ways. We've got a World War II style split trail heavy weapon going up, emptying on auto. Look at this motherfucker. Holy hell. This is literally like a 5-centimeter anti-tank gun chassis, and it's a dual-barreled multi-laser coming out of it. This is one of the only animations that we have in 40K of a multi-laser, and it's a dual-barreled multi-laser. Yeah, baby, let's go. And we've got like 4 or 5 people to man it. Oh my Jesus, they exploded so quickly I didn't even get to say the cool thing that I was going to say. And you can see about the multi-laser, it's got a central top barrel, and then it's got lower barrels, or possibly heat sinks. It's difficult to tell with the multi-laser. It seems to work different ways, depending upon the type. Oh, fuck. I can't get that one frame that I want. I will get the one frame that I want. Alright, here's the frame that I wanted. There we go. Right before they get hit. God damn, that took me a bit. Alright. So, here's what we can see. Gentleman with the night vision here. And he's got no helmet. Type of helmet. Yeah, he probably got Gumby stomped. So, helmet. Weird helmet here. Has the night vision goggles. Here's our regular Armsman PDF guy. And you can see his armor's a little bit wider than this gentleman's. Or it's better made. And then a similar one here with that kind of soft helmet. I think these might be pilot helmets or some type of gunner equipment helmet. But either way, they're clearly a different type here. And oh my god. So sometimes bolt guns just go straight through you and they detonate afterward or they detonate on a second target. Sometimes they actually explode inside of you. And even light flak armor, which can survive a lot, yeah. Just oh my, they explode altogether. It's insane. So, gentleman's aiming down here. Clearly is in a position here. Look at that shit. It's just like the Pak-37. It's just like the Pak-38 or the Pak-37. It's just a 37mm anti-tank gun chassis that they've stuck 2 multi-lasers on. So he's firing down another hallway. And then multi-lasers ready to go. And you can see that kind of silhouette of multiple barrels Just bang, bang, bang. Okay. Here's another one. Because you'll see this, and I'll complain about this in the other video. Alright. Doesn't know anything's behind him. Has no idea what's going on behind him. Has no idea what's going on behind him. Target gets within about 3 or 4 feet of him. Gets a notification somehow. Yeah, possibly. Oh, yeah. They could be armsmen, and that was my initial theory, is that some of these guys are armsmen and some of them are actual soldiers. And that could be the reason for the flat top helms versus the night vision goggles. But I think that there's also a third type in this group that might be a little bit better armored and armored, but you know, you could see between different scenes that they're different things. Look at this. I don't know what's telling him that there's somebody there. I don't. He can't be hearing it. He can't be hearing it because this dude makes barely any noise, and there's a firefight going on in front of him. What I think this is one of two things. One, either he has his auspex way overtooled to see if he can identify anything nearby in case he's getting ambushed, because he's basically by himself. Or, what I think might be happening here is that somebody saw this dude because they've been sneaking around. Yeah, and another Marine told him. That was actually my initial theory, because when the Marines go into these places, they kill a bunch of people, but also a lot of people run away. So what's going to happen is Marine Squad number 1 routes a whole bunch of dudes from one area, and they see 5 other people run into a different doorway, and they don't pursue them. They'll say to the rest of the squad, 3 people coming from this direction, we didn't chase them, they are armed. And so he hears that in his Vox, turns. And this guy is clearly one of those better like acolytes or cultists. I don't want to call them chaos cultists because they don't really bear any chaos iconography. I think they're Xenos separatists. Happens to time, and that explains why they're noted as rebellion, why they have xenotech, why they have such high technology stuff like the night vision goggles, and also why they're willing to serve under these kind of mechanical bastards. And look at him. He's clearly got the hood that the rest of the elite dudes have, and he's got the no gloves that the rest of the elite dudes have. So this is probably a legit soldier running for his fucking life. And you can see our gentleman here, he's already got his hands on the fucking shiv. He's already got his hands on the McStabby, about to explain to this gentleman why you need to join Jesus Christ and the Church of Latter-day Saints. Pulls it out. Straight back, baby. Just boom. Straight back. And look at this. This gentleman is holding his helmet. He's holding his helmet. You coward son of a bitch. He's running from the fight. And that's exactly lines up with what you were saying. He's running from the fight. That's his helmet. Or, if that's not his helmet, that's an explosive. But I think that's his helmet. Or a colony. Or something like that. Either that's a bomb, in which case, proud of you, man, but you probably should have thrown that at him rather than run up to him. But either way, if that was a bomb, probably should have just stuck it to him even if you got stabbed. You know, stabbing is not usually instantaneous death unless he got him in the, like, face. And it looked like he stabbed him in the chest there. But either way, let's continue. You can see this gentleman's actually, you can see powering up the battery. This dude has one of those heads-up displays. You can see, again, that kind of soft pallet helmet of those big, good soldiers. And he's hooked up to the multi-laser. It's powering up. You can hear it. Oh, God, it's such a cool sound. Yeah. So the handles on the side, I think those are a bomb. I think that is actually a bomb. I think you're right. But it might be his helmet as well. Either way. Could be either or. We're running for our lives. That was probably... No, that's a lasgun. Oh my God, what a good freaking page to see. This is a lasgun. Look at the lasgun he's using. Okay, let's back that up just like a second. Yeah, that was probably a bomb. Probably like a crack grenade made into a landmine or something. Okay, there it's falling. There it bounces. Yes, so we can see that this one has a stock. Nope. Okay, so that's it. 100% that's got to be a lasgun, right? You can see a forward grip here. You can see kind of the firing pack here. Might have a helical cell or something. and then clearly has a different body and profile, almost like an FN FAL than the standard one. Oh, yes. That has got to be... What type of las gun is that? Look at that. Huge magazine. That... Oh, is that a Type 4? Is that a Type 4? That might be a Type 4 las gun pack. Oh my god. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Las gun patterns. There's quite a few. What does that line up best with? It lines up actually best with like a cut down Acatran. Yeah, he knows I love the Ryza so much. But yes, that is probably a modded out Acatran lasgun. Again, pointing out the fact that these guys have fought the Imperial Guard. If that is what that is, which it's a bullpup, and clearly different from their standard auto weapons, and that definitely looks like a Type 4 magazine to me, that could be a Ryza, or an Acatran. Yeah, Acatran minus the carry handle. And let's be honest, you could remove the carry handle. It's not necessary. And this one also looks like it's had an extended stock. Yeah, so the carbine is the Acatran. That's the Acatran lasgun. And this looks exactly like that. It even has the muzzle brake flash hinder that lasguns do. So I think this is actually a modified Acatran lasgun. So yeah, that would be an example of what they're using, and that is cool as hell, by the way. I'm so glad we got that image. Let's not do the image of that dude's intestines. Alright, so we're about to turn the corner and see one of the coolest images in this show. Alright, so they're all running. Some boys are getting out of the way. Some boys are... Yep, so we can see here again that night vision, that connection. This is clearly a wire going into the weapon, hooking into it so that he can see past the gun shield, which I think in 40k is a really, really cool thing. Why do more support weapons not have gun shields? They should. In the modern day, we have gun shields. You ever seen an M2 Browning on like a brat or on a tank? Why don't we have gun shields in 40k? We should have more of them. They're really useful. They keep you alive. And considering how important heavy weapons are, we want them to stay alive. More gun shields. I petition for more gun shields. Alright, so you can see they're all running through his little scope. He doesn't give much of a shit. And you can see, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. About 26 dudes in this hallway. So here's the thing. Paratroopers are get attention by facing off the guard. A little less helpless fodder than... Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. Not all of the people who use the Acatran are paratroopers. So it's not an indication that they fought the Elysians. There are other people who use that lasgun. So definitely not a guarantee that they were doing that. Also, these guys are clearly not helpless fodder. They've already damaged 2 Marines at this point, and they've basically caught them entirely by surprise. Imagine having a big metal slab in front of your gun in the 41st millennium might earn you some bang for your buck. I agree. I think it would. So we got about 26, 25 guys in this hallway. He sees 1 inch of a Marine, and he basically just goes... Daga, 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 daga. That's the reaction. That's the reaction. Towering over other dudes. Mows down own dudes. Very correct. So it turns the corner with a bolt pistol. Just... brrrr, and look at that shit. So it's not more expensive. The only thing that is different about it is that it uses the Type 4. Which just gives you... it uses the Type 3. I've been saying Type 4, haven't I? Type 3, which gives you more ammunition per power pack. The Elysian drop troops are elite, and so they get to have it as a version that's better for them, but it's not necessarily all that more expensive than any other specialist autogun. Because yes, it is a specialist lasgun. It is a specialist lasgun, but it's not a hell gun or a hotshot lasgun. It's just a standard lasgun with a little bit of modification. Yeah, beautiful effects on the armor. pulsed laser ablation going on. Thank you for indicating what I was going to say. Most people see this scene and they go, well, why is he even worried? Why doesn't he just keep shooting? Two reasons. One, bolt pistol, not accurate enough nor capable enough to go through that gun shield. Second part, he's getting hit in a dangerous spot. You can actually see it right now. Where is this laser? Again, multi-laser, much more killing power than a standard lasgun or any of the weapons that we've seen so far, barring the autocannon and the missile launcher. Yeah, I wasn't saying type. Sorry, I shouldn't have been saying type 4. There, it's not a hell gun or a hotshot lasgun rather. It's not a hotshot lasgun, just a type 3. Type 3 gives you an extra 50 rounds per magazine, roughly, so pretty good. And yes, indicative of a possibly more elite regiment, but still, a regiment could get their hands on that without a ton of difficulty. Exactly my point. One, he's got hit in the shoulder, dangerously close to the armpit. Second spot, he's getting shot in the knee, dangerously close to the joint. So he's put himself out into this conflict zone, and there's a ton of chances that one of these gets an unlucky hit and wounds him. And what does he do in response? Sorry, I also want to get back to the one. Yeah, so you can see the first hit. Yeah, shots at him in the thigh and torso. So, first shot hits him in the shoulder. What does he immediately do? Gets into his fighting stance, puts his other shoulder forward, but his arm is raised. So the second shot hits him underneath the arm. Just look at the rate of fire on that motherfucker. So clearly, obviously, coming out of the front barrel. But also, possibly, these are rotating barrels. So, either way, these gentlemen, you can see that is a pass-through on 1, pass-through on 2, pass-through on 3. This penetrates 3 human targets in body armor. Just a wild freaking thing. Granted, it is a support weapon used against them. But on the first shot, hits him in the upper chest and shoulder or the other shoulder. Then the second shot, underneath the arm. Third shot, top of the head. Fourth shot, other shoulder, then leg, upper thigh, underneath the arm, other side of his torso, shoulder again, knee again, other side of the shoulder. So you can see exposure here. There's a clip over here that you can see on his finger. He actually gets shot right in the finger, and I think that's also something to note. Yeah, rapidly rotates between chambers. That makes sense. Alright, and look at this. Damage 1, damage 2, damage 3, damage 4, and obviously damage up here that we can't see because of the incredible special effects. But again, another hit on the lower side of the elbow. Look at his fingers, look at his arm. There's clearly been a knockoff to his shot because the bolter is angled out to one side. Front is open, internal is closed. I don't know. I think it could be reasonable for it to be either, but I think I prefer the idea of it rotating because it seems to have multiple independent barrels. Alright, another hit to the chest, and we're back here. You can see this is also the battery for the actual gun, which you don't really see all that much with the multi-laser, and the classic multi-laser big old floopy multi-piece wire. You can also see that some of this looks like it's been modified because there's clearly like a gun sight here, but there's no gun sight on the actual thing. And he's hit it a couple times. This is probably about a 20 millimeter thick plate. Maybe a little bit thicker than that. And the bolt pistol is clearly not getting through. No, that's definitely bigger than 30 millimeters. That might be 40, maybe 35. But either way, immune to the bolt pistol. And you can see again, that symbol here. That might be plastered on, but it also might be an indication that it's been made. Alright, so here's the big thing. Why does he get out of the way if he's not in danger? Answer, he is. So, the first time that I watched this, I watched it with somebody who was a big Space Marines fan, and we were arguing for literally like 15 minutes about why he was getting out of the way, because he was like, oh, he needs to take a second to switch to his plasma pistol, and I was like, why not just stand in the hallway to do that? Clearly, he's in some danger. It is time to pop smoke. Ah, here's the interesting thing. Why does he pop smoke and not stay there? Another indication the Space Marine's armor cannot compensate for what this type of smoke is. Because look, it's not just smoke. It's EMP smoke. Or really, it's like individual charged metal filings. So it's like an electrical burst in addition to the smoke, which is basically combos for flashbang and smoke grenade. So this is kind of one of those disorientation options. And you can see it's shot this dude in the face with light and blown up all of his shit. But the Marine also keeps his eyes averted and throws the smoke with his offhand so as not to baffle his own vision senses. Grabs his plasma pistol, gets it up to speed, and fires basically off of reflex. You know that there is no way that he could get that because of his armor. Yeah, smoke, chaff, and flare all at one. Important thing to remember when I talk about using that against Marines, clearly it does work against Marines. But he's in the same spot that he was in before. Remember, he basically doubles back to the same exact spot he was in before. He knew he got a hit last time, so he fires straight through the smoke. Again, this is basically a blind shot. So a very good one, honestly, for literally what, holy shit, again, looks like he's at the back of this hallway, remember. That is literally probably a 60-meter shot with a plasma pistol. Remember, if it kills the tank, it kills the Marine. If it kills a tank, it's usually dramatic overkill for a Marine, but it will at least be more efficient at killing a Marine than most things. So, look at the range he gets this at. This is a wild shot with a plasma pistol. You can see this, like, barely any decay in its arc. What I think he probably did was fire at a slight high angle, but the impact is almost perfect at the very top of the, gun shield. So just an incredible blind shot. What I would say is at least 50 meters. So at the absolute maximum range of the plasma pistol. Wild, wild accuracy. Very lucky. Very lucky. Crazy aim, yeah. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, we got our boys here. Everyone probably stopped transmitting. I like these guys' fits. They're really fitted up with, like, the quilting. We got the little electro club here. Kind of like a stun baton. Very nice stuff. Alright. Another important thing for Marines. Yeah, so again, it's that kind of Xeno Psyker tech. I think they might be actual Psykers that have been modified with technology to be like paired Psykers. There is an example of that from Pater Sin. He has his 2 runt twin children who are Psykers of their own right, but they're also twins with twinned powers. Look at this Marine here. He's about to empty his bolter on full auto. So what does he do? Instead of try and hold it down or brace it, he grabs the top of the weapon, gives it a solid muzzle reference, and then just fucking lets loose with it. Yeah, brace the rifles. For the love of God, brace your rifles. And I don't think that they necessarily go to a higher speed. I think that there's just another dude next to him that's making it look like it's going to a higher speed. But he is letting loose. Mated parts, these are from the fists, so they're good with guns. These are Retributors? Or yeah, they're something like that. I'm not sure if they're Imperial fists. I'll look it up after. Oh god. So that's 2 rounds. So that's 7 rounds within a no. I think you might be right, actually, Trippy. I think you might be right, buddy. I think they might have put it onto a higher cyclic rate. Again, I'm not sure you can do that with bolters. That might be an issue. I'm not sure if you can increase the cyclic rate, but I'm not sure if you wouldn't be able to. It might be possible. But that's a crazy cyclic rate. Look at that. Just within, like, roughly a fraction of a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. 40 rounds. 40 rounds. 45 rounds. So, as long as I didn't... Okay, I can actually double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. 54. So it might be both of their magazines, and I might have missed a couple. So 2 of them just absolutely mag dump into him for that rounds. And yeah, if it is an inquisitorial connection, that might be another reason. Yeah, for sure. I know there are ones with adjustable cyclic rates, except those are usually like heavy machine guns. And they're usually pretty mechanically complex. The bolter, I just usually have to think to myself about how much recoil the son of a bitch has, and how, increasing the cyclic might be dangerous for the weapon in terms of breaking the recoil spring, especially because its recoil spring assembly is very strange and cramped like a snail into the back of the gun. Yeah, the little engine flares are crazy. I love these. And again, like I talked about, the bolter has a curve. It starts at around 500 meters per second. It goes out to a certain area, probably around 200, 250 meters, and then it accelerates to 850 meters per second at maximum, and then it slows down over that kind of a quick upshot, and then a bell curve, and then it goes back down again in terms of velocity. And that means that it has a certain high penetration going on. Never snailify the recoil spring. Yeah, so these are probably hitting with a good amount of their energy, possibly at the apex of their penetration, but not necessarily. So yeah. Oh yeah, I wasn't saying that it's a tech marine thing. I'm just thinking about, the weapon's function. And you can see what he's putting up here looks like a psychic ward, and it might be, but it also acts like a slightly different type of field. It's definitely not a refractor field, based on how strong it is. Well, not necessarily how strong it is, but the fact that it's still here. Clearly is acting more like a psychic shield, clearly is up like a bubble. Could be a conversion field, but it's unlikely, much more likely to be psychic. And you can see, I notice this now. Oh my god, I've never noticed that before. These are human vertebra. This is a spine. Okay, this is 100% UVath tech. You know how I said that I thought that it might be UVath tech because other people had said it? It's not a... Holy shit, No, I think it's folded leather. I don't think that's a human face. As much as this looks like a brow and this looks like a nose, I'm pretty sure it's leather. Yeah, because you can see down here, there's another piece, so it's not a second head. As cool as that is, I think that's leather, and these guys are 100% using UVath tech. Look for a second at the bones. Yeah, that's bones. That is bones sparkling with psychic energy. That is 100% UVath, like, that is their go-to. This is UVath tech. So these are UVath devices that have been implanted into these guys to give them psychic powers. Holy hell. And it makes sense with how their powers work, because the UVath use this kind of purpley blue lightning, crackly stuff and bones to make things. And you can just see they're emptying it, yeah. So if you want to look up the UVath, I actually did a video on them. It's definitely not a Nurgle thing. Also, they would not be that clean and well organized if they were Nurgle. And they would also not be operating the way they were if they were Nurgle. These guys are definitely sporting some serious Xenotech, and I think it's UVath in origin, just because of that whole spine thing. Because if you look at the UVath, one of their big addictions is mixing psychic powers with dead human bones. Because he shoved a Nurgling in it, recoil doesn't happen. Hilarious. Look at this. He's got the little readout for his thing. We running. So, this is what I talk about when I say that he is not fighting at this speed. There's no way you're going to take a crack shot with your bolter running at this speed, at this, cyclic rate. This is a sprint. This is a sprint. He's not fighting. He's got a knife and a plasma gun, and he's also got a little problem, if you'll notice. Look at his head. This is the dude who got hit with the autocannon. Look, he's got another one in his torso and in his shoulder. We've got damage, boys. We've got damage. What is the job of the cultist, I ask you? The job of the cultist is not to kill the Marine. The job of the cultist is to wound the Marine enough so that the next man can wound the Marine enough so that the next man can wound the Marine enough so that the next man can kill him. That is the point of the cultist. All hail the cultist, because he's managing to do his job. That's mark number 1, mark number 2, mark number 3. Keep going, boys! We're almost through the armor! His shoulder has one, too. So they're just dumping into these guys, trying to get their attention off of the assault boys. And that's the other thing. Look at the pressure. He's got the spiritual pressure. The this kind of anime smash move that he does against the Marines. But again, the masks, the coverings, all of that kind of screams modified Xenotech. It's very ritualistic, but it's not chaos. There's no iconography on it that screams chaos. And usually, there's iconography. Chaos likes icons. Look, they just get absolutely swept and smashed into the frickin' wall. They aren't dead, but they probably should be. I love this. Look at that shit. Just the sun releasing from my bolt pistol. And again, he has to slow down. You notice it, right? He's sprinting, and then he raises an arm, steadies it for a second, and pops off a single shot. Pops off a single shot. Goes around, fires a second shot running. Drops the plasma gun, either because it's out of ammo or because it's overheated. Let's get a full biopic of our boy here. Alright, here we go. We got shot from the multi-laser, shot from the multi-laser, shot from the multi-laser, shot from the autocannon. You can see it's pushing, spraying, and cracking much more easily. And then he's got his big-ass knife up ready to go. Oh, yeah. Well, no, 100%. I'm not even saying that Chaos has to be involved in this. That's why they're called Rebellion instead of Chaos Cult. Look at all that shit. You can actually see the different impacts. And these, you know what this might be? This might also be one of the lasgun impacts, possibly. Oh, man. Grab. Psychic grab. Gribby grab. You have been grabbed. He's trying to break his bones. This is basically like the equivalent of a psychic head pop. That's what he's trying to do. See, this is the other thing. Look at this extended magazine for the bolt pistol. This shit is wild. This is definitely like some stuff provided to them by somebody else. I love, you can see the synthetic weave. This is just a great image of like what a Marine's hand looks like. You can see there's portions of the internals of the hand, of the fingers that aren't protected. What is my go-to phrase when it comes to fighting the Astartes? Shoot them in the freaking hand. Here's your point, boys. Point of aim. Wrist and fingers. Blow them bitches off. It should be a major priority, because look at this. This is another, like, inch of ceramite that you'd have to cut through. Just shoot them in the fingers. They're clearly less armored, and they have weak spots. Shoot him in the fingers. Shoot him in the fingers. Finger armor can't be thick. It isn't. All you have to do is look. Look at his fingers. Look. They're flared and they're ridged out, but clearly, look, the weakest part of the armor, one of the weakest parts, is going to be on the limbs, the outer limbs and arms. This is about an inch of ceramite, roughly, including this underlayer. Look at the fingers. They're clearly about half of that. Even less than half of it, maybe a quarter. It could be a quarter inch. That's considerably less. Ain't even looking to do something like a Psyker Uprising. Maybe they just know enough to try Warp Sorcery first. Yeah, possibly, but I think personally that these are the UVOTH, or the UVOTH tech that they've managed to gather has been the onus for this Uprising, but who knows? What kind of Astartes is just going to let you plink away at the finger? All of them, dude. All of the Astartes will have to go out into enemy fire. It's not that they're going to let you plink away at their finger, it's that you should be aiming at their weapons. The idea is that, you know, most people just think, well, aim center of mass, because you got to hit them somewhere. Aim at the ends of their arms, fingers, hands. Go for weak spots and joints, sure, if you have the time, but if you don't have the time, just spray at their hands. Literally, if I have a auto gun, instead of aiming center mass and being terrified and shooting them in the chest and wasting all of my rounds, point it right at the bolter and basically empty it on auto into their fingers and hands. Pretty solid chance that you manage to shatter one of these thin little pieces of armor, or put a round through this area and bury it in their wrist. So again, shoot them in the hands. Or, failing that, it could go into the elbow joint, it could go underneath the arm. All solid reasons to shoot them in the hands. The bolter's magazine is not wider than their fingers, guys. His fingers are clearly poking out further than that, not to mention thumb, also, back of the hand, knuckles, and the wrist. Having a shot that goes inside of this portion of the armor is still more likely to do damage than one that goes in here. Yeah, also, shooting the gun. Not a terrible idea. Oh, possible bomb? I don't know. bolter ammo seems to be pretty tough. But yeah, theoretically, you could make it explode. You could definitely destroy the magazine and cause it to spill off rounds, and that's a solid reason, because then he can't reload. Or he would have to reload, and maybe he can't reload. He can cause a jam. Any number of things could happen. Shoot them in the hands. We got our buddy over here with what looks like a pretty standard shock baton. Our friend here has learned how to fly, involuntarily. Our second buddy over here is about to teach them the might of the God Emperor. So he gets it inside of the psychic barrier, another indication that it's not a refractor field. Or if it is a refractor field, it's a weird one because it's both permanent and not interfering with them all that much. Might be a conversion field, but again, those seem to keep away melee attacks as well. Yep. Firing it inside. Shoots him, hits him straight in the chest. Solid hit. But you can see that the second one actually goes in and breaks around the side. Gets within just like a quarter inch of his neck. So close. Love the Astartes combat blade, by the way. Interesting thing here. Why does it have a louvre? Why does it have a hole in there? The reason that these are on AK bayonets is so that they can be used to cut barbed wire with the AK. The reason that they're on other bayonets is so that they can be hooked up to another tool. What tool does the Astartes combat blade go into? Are the Astartes going to be cutting barbed wire with their big-ass combat knife? Does anyone else know a good reason why they would have a hole in the knife? Because as far as I know, the only historical use for that would be it's a back scratcher. I don't think it's a back scratcher. Las gun into the mag would set it off on full auto. Maybe. I would hope so. Probably. They got the muscle strength for it. Why? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they could. Someone controlled it. Looked like it hurt his wrist. Could have. More likely that he just suffered some negative effects from having the weapon jerking all around inside of that shield, in my opinion. Made for an STC, but scaled up and made a better mouse. Oh, yeah, no, I know. I made a whole video on the Astartes combat blades. I just never noticed. Well, I have noticed, but I was wondering, why the hell would they have a hole in it? Because it's just interesting like that. If maybe it has an actual use. Maybe it has a ceremonial use or something like that. What was the theory? Oh, the idea that they explode if you shoot the magazine? Yeah, solid plan. Definitely try it. I'm not against it. He be looking. We be looking. Here's another thing, by the way, that I think that they might be not fully mechanical and they might be biological. Their eyes are all messed up with possibly chaos corruption. So again, I talk about the eyes a lot. Shoot the eyes. They have this sacrificial external layer that's made of something similar to tempered glass. And then there's the internal layer that you can see there moving around that is essentially the back of his HUD. So all that's really protecting the Marine's eyes is literally a layer of plexiglass or strike glass and a little bit of glass behind their visor. Yeah. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Clearly eyes. Clearly not mechanical. Clearly reacting, probably flesh in there somewhere. And he's got little whites of his eyes too. Classic Psyker thing. So, smacks the gun aside with his little shock prod. He doesn't give a shit. He's got his knife. Knife, go stab. Splits that psychic connection, and the twin reacts violently and rip. So again, this was clearly hooked up to something inside of him. And that definitely looks like something that would go inside of a person rather than a machine. So this itself may be Xenotech along with the headdress. And then there's a human being in there somehow. Buddy is dead. Unfortunate day. Our boys head into La Vault. I like the flooring here. I don't know what it is, whether it's linoleum or something else. It's just kind of cool. Okay, this is a big-ass fucking ship. Okay, help me out here, buddy, because that is a light Astartes strike cruiser. This might be the Inquisitor's ship. In fact, I would actually be willing to bet that this is the Inquisitor's ship. Help me out, Raptor. What is this, if you're still here? Because I will look up my list of Imperial ships. real quick. For me, that looks like a standard cruiser. No, that looks like a cruiser to me, or a Grand Cruiser. The image is pretty dark. It does not get any better. Here, I'll tell you what I see, buddy, and then we'll look up. So I see macro cannon, macro cannon, macro cannon, macro cannon, macro cannon, macro cannon. Yeah, and it looks like this is a cruiser. 100% chance this is a cruiser. It's a full macro cannon 6. It's not a Grand Cruiser because it only has one stack of weapons. At least it's probably not a Grand Cruiser. Might be a Battle Cruiser, but I'm going to double check right now. Yeah, because that's the internal underside, and that is definitely a line of macro cannons. Cruisers, which ones only have macro cannons? Which fixed batteries, flex mountings, none. Is it a Dictator? Nope. Dominator. Does it have a Nova cannon? It might. It might. Gothic. To me, I would say that that's not a Gothic. 6 torpedo tubes. I see 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Success, it is mine. This is a Tyrant class cruiser. Tyrant class. So, Tyrant class cruiser, it is a 2 macro cannon batteries on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Macro cannon batteries, 2 per side. And then, in addition to that, you can see this is all just Auspex vanes and things like that. And then 6 torpedo tubes, 3 on this side, 3 on the other side. So let me look up the lore on the Tyrant class and see if the Inquisition uses them. Tyrant class cruiser, 40k. Alrighty. So, what do we got here? Tyrant class cruiser, popular due to superior range over other cruiser classes. Theorized to be able to deliver both long-range fire on shore and fire in the firepower. However, is realized the long-range fire is not of any threat. Reasonable turret protection, classic armored prow, no lances, short-range weapons. Yeah, so this is definitely, if it's something that fell out of favor with the Navy, and something that offers a lot of distance range of operation, 100% this could be something used by the Inquisition. So my bet is this is an Inquisitorial Tyrant class cruiser, and next to it is an Astartes strike cruiser. Let's continue. I'm on my last seltzer. We're going through. This is definitely the Inquisitorial ship. Look at all these purity seals and bullshit. We have a big old piece of UVath tech with like 6 different melta charges and other things strapped into it. Inquisition. See, this could be an Inquisitorial Acolyte, or, in my opinion, an Inquisitorial Tech Priest is also possible. But I think this is probably an Acolyte, given the armor. He's got his plugs hooked in, he's praying, he's trying to connect to this machinery of some kind, to analyze it, see if it has any reaction with the psychic use on the other ship. What is here is probably the Chapter Master, given the laurels, or possibly a high-ranking captain, and his beaky lieutenant. Yeah, 100% with the stole and everything. 6? 6 that you think there's 8? Either way, it's a lot of melta charges / plugs. We got 3 Astartes here, big boy in the back, captain / chapter master up here, and then probably a captain beaky right here, with this Inquisitorial Acolyte down here. We got our buddy over here. These are all these like cool little Auspex things. I don't think these are really doing all that much. I think they're kind of just there as an indication of, like, there's electronics going on behind it. Because in reality, these probably would just be glowing a little bit through the armor. And this one should be glowing because we're in darkness. But either way, they might have even blacked it out. That might be an option. But who knows? We're going in. We see more plugs. So, indication of ice. Cold, ice, that indicates warp fuckery. Chaos fucks with natural world when it comes into reality. Could be warp fuckery causing the ice. Could be any number of things. Could just be cold storage in here. Could just be cold in here. Who knows? I think it's warp fuckery, though. Given the fact that this was protected by two psychers using xenotech, I think it's warp fuckery. We got some hookups in the walls. Let's see what we got. Alright. We got a big man of gold here. It didn't seem like normal ice. Correct, my friend. We got a big man of gold here. So this is clearly a massive construct. Look at the Marines in comparison to it. This is probably, if that's 8 feet, this is probably 10 feet. This thing is probably about, 40 feet tall. Yeah, so enormous motherfucker. In construction or in repair, obviously. So this is, again, kind of smacks of Xenotech to a degree. But obviously, why would Xenos make a icon of a man? That doesn't make sense. So these might be guys who stole some Xenotech, probably this half of the sphere, and it is levitating, because warp fuckery. Alright, I'll shut up. This is a good part of the episode. I don't got much to analyze here.
Astartes.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that they made it. I'm saying that it's more likely that they found this, and then it, being a Yuvath piece of technology with connection to either another Yuvath creature or just their psychic minds, instructed them to build that type of thing. Or instructed them how to create it, or told them where to get more. So, yeah. Pulling the tech for the Psyker spines would not be all that hard. One, you can just rip a spine out of a human and use that for the actual physical part of it, but the design for it, the gilding, the psi active parts, they would need instruction to do. Yeah, the internals were probably hookups to an actual person. Yes, the sleep demon is telling me to make a big-ass meatball. I have no idea what these are, but they smack of inquisitorial bullshit 150%. So, to me, these probably seem like some sort of anti-psychic weapon. Not something that's actually weaponized, but it could be something like a shred of a null's, hair, or a piece of, a null's power kind of shoved into an object. There are examples of things that we have like this, like the null rod. These could basically be minor versions of a null rod. Yeah, null ashes, that might work. But either way, it's clearly something that needs to be stabbed. You know what else it could be? It could be like a blackstone sliver. Again, blackstone usually has to be attached to something, but in theory, they could just crack off some blackstone and stab it into this thing. See, that would be very, very unlikely that they would have 5 of them. If it was dust from the Golden Throne, I don't think they'd have 5 of them. I think they'd have 1. I don't think they would have a lot. That's a big ask. Psych out grenades are rare for a reason. I think nulled ashes would probably be a little bit easier to come by, and also the fact that it actually fails probably indicates to me that it's not psych out grenade level powerful. So he's clearly monitoring this thing, because he's been hooked up to it the whole time. And they seem to know that there's some sort of Xenos affiliation to this uprising. Executed for using them on anything less than Korn's left nut. Hilarious. Wonder if the sphere thing they knew were coming since the psychic shockwaves. Oh, it's literally speaking to them. I'm not sure if you're aware, if you've listened to the audio very closely, but it says, Astartes, stay back. And then it says, Astartes, come no closer. And it literally knows that they're there, and it could psychically sense them. Not to mention speak to its twin. There was a gentleman who made a analysis of all the things that they actually said, but it knows they're coming, And it's keeping track of the the shockwaves, yes. Always thought they were a kind of psychic wiretapping device for the Inquisitorial Psycho to listen in. Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what they are. You are 100% correct. Yeah, it's afraid and it wants to run. There you go. This dude is basically sitting in on the conversation between the two psychic orbs. And that's why he gets, well, this. This is what we do to people who eavesdrop. So, the Astartes deny our touch. We must return. Sever your connection. Or break your seal, sorry. So it is kind of afraid, kind of threatening. Then he says, impossible, we will never survive. You must take them with you. So he's essentially saying, you, Orb, you have to escape, you have to break free, get out of your seal, and get out of your spot. And he says, I'm going to die if I do that. He says, fuck it, bring the Astartes with you if you have to. So he's indicating that there's some level of ability for these orbs to either move or escape psychically, either shift into the warp and travel, or literal teleportation. Doesn't really matter. The idea is, if he's attached and hooked up with all these Marines around him, might be a danger to him. His buddy says, do it anyway. You can actually, there's a little bit of static from that dude. I think he's like screaming inside of his mask. Because you can see that there's like a darkened mask over his face. Yeah, light carapace under his hood. I don't know if that's light carapace. I think that might be a psychic hood. I think that might literally be a psychic hood. Because it's clear and it's glass, and it shatters when he gets punched. So I don't think that this is light carapace. Now this, the armor on his body, that's light carapace. Yeah. He's talking about getting the Astartes out of there, yes. So this thing is about to fuck him up. Yeah. So look, he's got the shoulder pieces, but all of this is just leather. I don't actually think he's wearing much armor. And I don't think this face mask is armor either. Because again, you can see right through it. I'm not sure if this dude is a psyker or if he's got something else, but these are hooked up plugs. These are plugs directly to the thing, so it's clearly supposed to be attaching to him in some way. Grabs, shatters, shoots. Theory is afraid of using the warp because it might be eaten by a demon. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. But, yeah, you can see they're clearly terrified that this thing might somehow possess them. So, yep, gotta get that shit taken care of. Warp corruption is a bad thing. So this is him breaking the seal and escaping. And this is just some weird shit. I have no idea what to say about this. This almost looks like a demon, but it might not be. And this is it trying to travel, clearly. Getting sucked in. I mean, theoretically, warp corruption can be worse than a demon host, but yes, they're both bad. Also, really dumb idea. Don't know why you thought that shooting it would solve this problem. Even if shooting it solved this problem, I feel like it would still kill your friends. So, don't know where your head was at with that one, buddy. Now you don't have an arm. Sucks to suck. Poor bastard. Ah, look at that. Little demon tentacle come to grab you. So, that's the Uvoth thing. That's the technology that was in that orb that gets grabbed by some shit, probably a demon, and then sucked down into the warp. Warp corruption does eat children as long as you leave it long enough. Dying in the warp might be better than being stranded in the warp. Yeah. I mean, objectively, but eventually you will find your way out of the warp. Death is permanent. Grabs it, and you can see, clearly his teleportation, because he's vomiting. Probably in the warp, and his blood is doing weird things. Buddy looks like he's been through the absolute ringer. And also, some solid service studs on our friend here. Not exactly sure where we are, but that is textbook Uvoth shit. Again, this kind of sitting, standing aliens in what is really a messed up area. Yeah, see, that could be super fast congealing. What I think that is probably just straight up internal bleeding. Alright. Any questions before I go back and play it through one more time? Let the whole thing run. As we go through, just ask whatever questions you want. I'll go back wherever you'd like, if you'd like something explained or if you'd like it gone over again. But yeah, I think this is a pretty successful run of our first jiggle and jive through reviewing some content. It is kind of a short video, but you can see, I stop and I go through every little piece of it, and this one on the back end is only a little different. Shoulder pads, the skeleton friends, remind me a bit of the shape of the Psyker twins. Yeah. Shape of the Psyker twins? What do you mean? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. We're going to watch through it one more time all together, and you can ask whatever questions you'd want. But I did also post a comment about it before, post a comment today when I was doing it, and then posted a third one right before we started so that more people got in. So I got as many notifications in as I possibly could. I did my best. And you can always go back and watch it, because this is going to get uploaded in its entirety so that you can watch. But this is just a quick thing so that we're watching through it all together. Oh, yeah, you have a fair point. It could be, like, built out for them, specifically. But who knows? Could be just that they're rather big and bulky dudes. Or that there's more mechanics to their body, which might be the case, you know, modifications, augmetics, all that kind of stuff. Just a wild, wild scene. Such a good one, too. And you can see how dark and dreary the internals of this ship are, which kind of is in keeping with this being a civilian ship. Everything is so basic, kind of stamped sheet metal looking. Yeah, I think maybe they were just decoys, but that's another thing where I think that's got to be inquisitorial high technology, because that is some shit you do not have normally. How scary is Astartes should be in confines of a ship? Yeah, we went through all of that. We've been in here for like an hour or so, unfortunately. You'll have to go back and take a look, and feel free to comment if you have questions. Gap between the neck and chest of the armor of the robes? That's a fair point, but it is covered in leather. They do actually have a leather containment suit. More military ship, would it? No, not really. Most ships in 40K have pretty limited size when compared to, like, an Astartes bulk. One of the best scenes in this entire episode. I sure do love 23mm autocannons. Or 25mm autocannons, whatever it may be. You know, theoretically, that could be the semi-auto fire. That kind of bang, 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 bang. Prepping up the multi-laser. There's our favorite lasgun. Dun, dun. See, when I'm cutting it up, you don't get to see all the music. Space Marine is kind of orc-sized, but remember, you also have to move things through a lot of hallways. So, even on these storage ships, you have to move large objects that are much larger than either an orc or a Space Marine, including cargo. So just to do that, you need them to be more than the tiny little hallways that we have in our modern spaceships. Heavy weapons team did perform great. Would have been outstanding against mortals. Outstanding against mortals, but here's the thing. In my opinion, they should still have killed at least a couple of the Marines. If they had set up a little bit better, they would 100% have killed more than one Marine. And, you know, there's no evidence that they didn't kill that first guy. But still, either way, they 100%. If I was writing the story, 2 Marines would have died in this operation, if not more. Also, those dudes would be dead as well, so maybe like 7 Marines would have died in this operation. But then again, you could argue that I'm right, because it ends up with like only 5 of them getting to the eventual goal. So they came in with like a full squad of 10, only 5 of them get there. I would 100% say that it's realistic that 5 Marines die in this operation. Yeah. And the multi-laser is just quick and spray as well. And it is a relatively longer length of bolt. Militia forces low experience fighting Astartes? I mean, who knows? They are definitely better than militia forces. They are an organized military, my dude. They have different ranks and weapons and equipment. We went over all this during the rest of this video, so feel free to go back to it. But you can see that there's a significant difference in experience in all of these guys. It's a very, very unique force that you're looking at here, and much more organized than something like an inexperienced militia. They don't have a lot of experience fighting Astartes, clearly, but they probably don't have none. Bottlenecked them, definitely. Great discipline wasted on poor tactics. Agreed, they were definitely taken by a surprise, and taken at a disadvantage, which was unfortunate. But, you know, if I was in charge of this situation, I probably wouldn't have done much better. Maybe I could have gotten a couple more kills, maybe locked down the ship a bit more, but that might have just prolonged the inevitable. If they don't have any naval support around, and clearly they were on just like a heavy freighter, nope. Boarding actually be a perfect place to kill Astartes. An autocannon trap was perfect. It was perfect. That should have been a kill. That probably was a kill, given my earlier theory. That 100%. The only problem with that autocannon thing, and also same thing with the missile launcher and the heavy stubber bolt trap, was basically they started their firing. They started firing too late and from too far away. If they were a little bit closer and that rocket was ready to go the second they turned the corner, that would have been at least another kill, if not 2. Not to mention wounds and injuries. We're forgetting the fact that they don't have to kill them. It's just about wounding them. Yeah, and you can kind of see that they do, because look, at this point, there's only 5, right? And they started with like 10. So even if there's 2 hiding somewhere, at least a couple of these guys died on the way in. Yeah, Chaos Space Marines arrived yesterday vibe that you get from so many 40k books. Yeah, I mean, I still haven't decided. My personal headcanon with this is essentially this rebellion or uprising isn't involving chaos too much just yet. Essentially, humans that were already seditious found, and by the way, you can see more heads and spines over here, indicating that those masks... hold up, let me pause that. Look over there. You can see heads and spines that are clearly created. This is more of that technology that they're working on to make those, you know, like, paired psychers. So, what Trippy said earlier about them being made, or about what somebody else said earlier about them being made, this is clear indications that they're being made and constructed. As part of, or with part of this original thing. So, they probably found this and the 2 orbs on that world, and then they started a revolution after realizing, holy crap, these are like incredibly godlike beings of psychic capability and activity, and if they are Yuvoth, that means that the Yuvoth understand and respect, if not worship, chaos. So, hit on the first attack by Space Marines? I mean, possibly. I just don't think Chaos Space Marines are even involved in this whatsoever. I think it's entirely human, which would make sense, given that, you know, if it's from the Xenos technology that drives them to this ideal, then it would make sense that it's humans doing it. And what we're seeing now is essentially the escaping remnant of what was a greater rebellion in like a freighter trying to hide away and be stealthy, and they've been caught by essentially an elite inquisitorial strike team and the Astartes that they're using to get rid of them. Also, that clearly looks like it's been taken apart. Look at the wires in there. That's another thing where it looks like this is being taken apart and formed into those psychically active masks that they were using. Kind of like better psychic hoods or different types of psychic hoods. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Why would the Uvath make the big golden guy? It was probably a construct at one point that they don't have the ability to power anymore. Because remember, they did used to have constructs like that, ones that were made of bone and some that were made of metal or crystal. So that's not unreasonable to say that it's just Uvath tech that the humans are repurposing. Yeah, because we are seeing this battle at the end of its part, where we're seeing, you know, the last of the Xenotech and their loyal armies leaving the battle zone and trying to escape. So yeah, 100%. It gives that vibe off. Because Chaos Marines do be coming and going rather than sticking around. Alright. We'll finish off when this finishes off, if there's no other questions. Y'all, take care to go back, check anything that I said. Comment when this video goes up. Remember to comment up what we got and what we're thinking about. Questions that we had, theories that we have. I think I've aired about as much as I wanted to for this, because I'll be honest, I had a lot of theorizing at the beginning, but between other YouTubers, it's been a while. Felt like a thing that always gave off the big Logis demon vibes. Yeah, I mean, those Xenos, the Uvoth, do have kind of that Logis demon vibe, but they also are very much like the Cornate. We attach technology to demons. Or we have psychic powers that connect our technology to demons. Things of that nature. See, this is clearly he's eavesdropping on communication between these two Uvoth orbs. Yeah, see, he's shouting for them to do something, and then he jerks back to his concentration. He broke concentration, which probably gave him away. And then he gets zapped. They're probably trying to explode his brain. Love my Xenos species. Good for you. I too love Xenos. Some Xenos. Some Xenos are not so cool, but some of them are very cool. Yep, exactly correct way. Well, see, that's a different one that's in a different situation. Controlling the Marines is this dude's job. These are two different entities, seemingly. And you can see here, that reflection in his eyes is like the ones for the Psychers. So in theory, I think that the neck spine things might be actually a way for them to control the humans, rather than being a way for them to just have innate psychic abilities. It might be like a mind control device, which would make sense with the Uvoth. They, you know, aliens do be liking using humans as slaves. That is a common thing. The Enslavers are a great example of that. But the Uvoth, not unknown to use humans for that reason. Grell as well. They also had a Xenos human empire where humans were a combo of that. So yeah, this is the thing where that's clearly a Uvoth that gets grabbed out of the warp by a demon or by something else, and its transport gets modified, and these guys end up teleported to somewhere in real space. Possibly its destination, possibly not. Buddy's got some serious damage. man. All right, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad that you all enjoyed. Any last minute questions before I sign off? Got a couple of minutes to go, but I think that I have done all that I needed and wanted to do for right now. Oh, they certainly could have been originally humans. They certainly could have been. Yeah. So one of the big things with that is even if they were marine tall, they could literally be standing on platform shoes. Or the other thing is you can get tall humans. Remember, Voidborn are slightly taller than the average human. You can have the long neck boys who are often in space. They could be mutants. They could be surgically modified to be that tall. For example, if they were modified with technology, like I said they were, you could have modifications that increase their height, their bulk, their size. It kind of explains why they kind of wiggle and go around. And it also explains why when they hit the ground, they sound like metal. Yeah, Longshanks. That was what I was talking about. They could be Longshanks. They could be Psychers. They could be mutants. They could have had parts of their body extended. It's also possible that the masks go on top of their heads, and their bodies are built up around it, and that they use maybe human eyeballs as a way to do that. They could be lankier, but the thing is, you wouldn't know how lanky they are because they are covered in a giant covering. Comment about Project Sunburst? Yeah, so here's the thing. After you said Project Sunburst, I went back and I realized I actually watched the whole thing when it was coming out. So I will take a look at that at some point. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I will let you guys all loose because I have to go. It's definitely not an Ogren. If you look again at the video, they're clearly not that big compared to the Astartes. Let me see if I can find a good picture of them next to each other. Yeah, so look. They're not all that much taller. Matter of fact, with the helmet, they barely even come up to the Astartes' like chin. Granted, this dude's like lifted in the air, but still, it's not too much. Barely the same size. But yeah, either way, different type of stuff. I'm glad that you enjoyed the stream. I hope that you continue to enjoy, and I wish you all a lovely good night.